What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is a series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Modern Warfare 2. And in today's video, we're going to be moving on to the MX9, also known as the AUG Para. And starting it off as always, let's have a look at our damage profile, which with this gun, we do have a 3 to 6 shot kill potential with torso shots. However, up close, you have to hit at least 2 of the shots to the torso. The third shot can hit the limb and you'll still get a 3-shot kill. Whereas in those medium damage ranges with the 4 and 5-shot kill respectively, you need to hit every single bullet to the torso in order to maintain those shots to kill. So it does drop off in its consistency at medium range. Also, it's worth noting, headshots are practically useless with this gun. You generally don't want to be going for them because you just need to mix so many in order to reduce the number of shots to kill. After that though, let's have a look at our rate of fire, which is 741 rounds per minute. And what this means is our 3-shot time to kill potential is 162 milliseconds, which is incredibly fast. That's highly competitive. You will be dominating most guns if you keep yourself within that 3-shot range and you get those 3-shot kills. Having said that, we do see a fairly steep increase to our time to kill as we get into those mid-range situations, especially if you're not hitting every torso shot. So this gun has a great potential up close, but it becomes a lot less consistent as you start stretching the ranges out. But next, let's have a look at our bullet velocity, which is very slow at 300 meters per second. This means your hit detection is going to feel pretty bad at longer ranges, especially against moving targets. However, in this game, there is an upside to having a subsonic bullet velocity, and this is these skulls that appear when an enemy kills your teammates. They won't actually appear when using the MX9, so that means this gun is well suited to stealth play in this game. But next up, let's have a look at our range values, and our 3-shot kill range is actually kind of standard for an SMG's maximum damage range and not very good at 10 meters. So that's really where you want to keep yourself with this gun if you want to be like dominating enemy players, because beyond that we drop off to a 4-shot kill that extends out to about 20 meters, and then from there our 5-shot kill will extend out to about 34 meters, and anything beyond that will be a 6-shot kill no matter where you shoot them in the body. As for our hipfire spread, no surprises here, this is just standard for an SMG. And then let's have a look at our idle sway, and there's a pretty good amount of idle sway with this gun. It is going to be moving around on you quite a bit, but then again, this isn't a gun you'd typically use at really long ranges anyway, so this shouldn't really be a big deal for you. After that though, let's have a look at our recoil, and as you can see here, the MX9 is fairly accurate. Now the big thing here though is the initial recoil can be a little bit bouncy, a little bit randomized. There's a bit of that jump between the 3rd and the 4th shot fired, and that's consistent. So you definitely want to be aware of that, and that obviously prevents this gun from being like laser accurate across the map. But generally speaking, I do consider this to be a fairly accurate SMG that's easy to control within its effective ranges. Now, let's take a look at our handling stats, and our aim down sight time is a little bit better than average for SMGs at 220 milliseconds, so that's nice. That's a nice upside with this gun. However, unfortunately, our sprint out time is assault rifle level, not SMG level, at 210 milliseconds for our standard sprint out time and 310 milliseconds for our tactical sprint out time. So that's something you really have to be aware of while playing with this gun. You can't just sprint into a gunfight nearly as effectively as with most of the other SMGs. But then we'll have a look at our reload add time, which is pretty good for an SMG at 1.47 seconds. And now let's finally have a look at our mobility stats, and this one's got some interesting mobility stats. For our base movement speed, this is essentially bang on average for the SMG category. However, our sprint movement speed is significantly better than average for SMGs, and it's actually one of the fastest guns in the entire game when we're talking about sprint speed at 6.42 meters per second. When it comes to primary weapons, the only gun that sprints faster than this is the Fennec 45. But then finally for our mobility stats, our aim walking movement speed, just like our base movement speed, is right around average for SMGs, so it doesn't stand out in any way here aside from that sprint speed, where it is quite a big outlier. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for the base stats of the MX9. Now let's get into the barrel attachments, and we'll start this off with the ranges, and we only have 3 barrel attachments, and the first 2 will both increase our damage range. The first one, that 508mm rear guard, gives us a very nice boost to our ranges at 25%, which is great. However, even that second barrel gives us a great boost at 15%, so either way you go there, you've got a nice boost to your ranges. As for how these barrels impact our recoil, as we can see here, they don't really have a massive impact. Generally speaking, the recoil is going to feel about the same as the base, aside from that last barrel, the 16.5-inch STB factory barrel. That one definitely jumps a lot more than the base version of this gun, so you just want to be aware of that if you are using that barrel. It will noticeably harm your recoil. And then finally, for these barrel stats, let's see how they impact our aim down sight speeds. And as we can see here, they all harm our aim down sight time, but that first barrel, the one that gives us a 25% range increase, that one hurts our aim down sight speed the most at 290 milliseconds. And that wraps it up for the stat portion of this video. Now let's move on to some excellent attachment combinations I put together for you guys. And the first one I wanted to share is just a nice, versatile, balanced build that is designed to be quite accurate as well, so you can use this at longer ranges a whole lot more effectively than the base version of the gun. And with this, we're using the 16.5-inch Bruin barrel. This is the one that gives us a 15% boost to our ranges, which is nice. We've also got the Bruin pendulum muzzle here, and this one just seemed to help the most with this particular type of recoil that we have on the MX9. And as we can see here, when looking at that recoil, it is noticeably better than the base recoil, especially when we're talking about that horizontal deviation. We have a much more vertical pattern now, which is a lot easier to control and predict, and that makes this gun a lot more effective for those longer range fights. Additionally, we've got the VLK Laser 7mW laser. We've got the Bruin Q900 grip, and then finally we've got the Slimline Pro optic on there. Obviously, if you like the iron sights, you can stick with that and save some aim down sight speed, but I do like the Slimline Pro on this particular setup. And with this, you can see I managed to keep the aim down sight speed at least reasonable at 275 milliseconds, although it is slower than the base. Our sprint out time has also improved a little bit here, at 167 milliseconds, and it's also worth noting that our base movement speed and our aim down sight movement speed are both improved by about 2.2%, which is a nice increase when we're talking movement speeds. And there we go, that's gonna wrap it up for the first build that I've got for you guys. It's fairly versatile. I'd treat this more like an SMG assault rifle hybrid if I was using it like this. Now let's move on to the second build, which is much more geared towards stealth play. And I did want to make sure I'm sharing a stealth build with this since we have that added benefit of not having those skulls appear when you kill enemy players. And with this one, we are using a suppressor. I chose the X10 RR40 just because this one doesn't have really massive downsides like a lot of the other suppressors. I realize in the current state of the game, we aren't getting the full benefit out of suppressors because it will deactivate your ghost perk when you fire, but that's not to say that suppressors are completely useless. They're just not nearly as usable as they should be. But then on top of that, we also have the VLK Laser 7mW, we've got the FTAC C11 riser, and the Bruin Q900 grip. And with all of this combined, we have slightly worse recoil than the base recoil of the gun, but that's okay. We're not really using this gun for long-range engagements. It's more so for getting up close and personal and being stealthy. So more importantly, we have a massively improved sprint out speed that's much more along the lines of an SMG now at 135 milliseconds, so you can be a lot more aggressive that way. And our aim down sight speed, while it is slower than the base version of the gun, it's still a very good aim down sight speed at 250 milliseconds. So this setup is just great for generally staying off the radar and being as stealthy as possible, even though this game doesn't support stealth play nearly as much as other Call of Duties. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the MX9 SMG. As for my thoughts on this gun, I think it's kind of like a middle-of-the-road SMG. I don't think it's a bad gun by any means. It's very usable. You can definitely excel with it. But at the same time, it's nowhere even close to being like a meta gun. That sprint out time is going to hold you back from playing it like a proper SMG. And also, it can be fairly punishing at those mid to somewhat longer ranges compared to some of the other SMGs out there. So you are limited in certain areas, but at the same time, it's just not a bad gun in my opinion. It's just kind of alright. Now, of course, that is just my opinion of this gun, and I'd love to hear what you guys think of it in the comment section down below. And also, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, I will, of course, leave a link to the playlist in the description down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.